In this video, we'll be editing how your buttons display on your Shopify website. That includes both your outline buttons and your primary and secondary buttons. Go to your theme editor in your Shopify store. You'll land on the home page in the default version of your site. Go to theme settings, go down to buttons, select buttons. Here you have the different thickness of the border with different sliders. You have thickness, opacity, and corner radius. With thickness, you can grab and adjust, and you can see the border increase within the preview panel based on the type of button that you are viewing in the preview panel. If you go down to your primary button, you'll see that there is no change based on that button type, but for the outline that has a border enabled, that button is affected by the adjustment. For opacity, it's at 100% based on what you would like for the button to display as. It's able to be reduced in opacity, which you can see makes it harder to see and more transparent. We'll leave this at 100% as buttons are typically call to actions in which we want to have a customer engagement based on the section and how we have it laid out and what that section is trying to communicate to the viewer. The corner radius will adjust how the sharpness of the button's corners are. By moving this up, the slider moves in 2 pixel increments, and you can see that as the slider is adjusted, the edges of the button on both the outline and the solid button are affected. And you'll want to make your adjustments for your corner radius based on whatever your brand guidelines are, whatever the design system is that you're using for your site. We'll leave this at 8. For shadow, by default, the opacity of the shadow is left at 0, but if you increase, you'll see that this creates vertical lift within the preview pane for the button. If you take this all the way up to 100%, you can see more definitively how this makes the button rise off of the flat background of your site. And then you can adjust how the drop shadow is oriented by moving your horizontal offset, and you'll see that moves it laterally. And then your vertical offset by being able to move just how drastically the shadow is displayed from either the top or the bottom of the button. To diffuse the sharpness of the shadow, you can adjust the blur using the slider, which moves in 5 pixel increments, and you can see that as the slider is adjusted, the edges of that shadow become more blurry and less definitive. As you reduce the opacity back down, you can find the exact setting that you would like to see based on the aesthetics of the page that you're trying to build and the website that you are displaying to your customers. For our purposes, we'll reduce this back down to 0. Keep more of a minimalist type style. And once we're done with our settings, with the different thickness, opacity, and corner radius for the borders and for the buttons, and then the different shadow settings, we'll go to the top right-hand corner, select Save. If you found this video helpful, click subscribe down below and follow us for more on setting up and running a business online.